Kia ora and welcome to Super Zoom Videos. Guys, it's finally happened. It's finally happened. 7 years after the release of the Nikon P1000 and roughly a year after it was discontinued, Nikon has finally come out and said, yes, we are bringing you the Nikon P1100 late February, early March. Guys, it's on its way. I was away when this was all announced, so I've had a chance to look over the specifications. I've had a chance to look at how Nikon has approached this announcement. I've had a chance to look at what you guys are saying on social media, and this has led me to a conclusion. The same conclusion that I believe many of you have come to. If you own one of these two cameras, the Nikon P1100, I'm sorry, it's not for you. So in this video, let's not just take a look at the Nikon P1100, let's also have a look at the announcement itself and exactly who this camera is targeted at. A little while ago after CES, I sat down to draft yet another video on what is happening in the Ultrazoom space. And to be honest, there was nothing. There was nothing going on. And this was a little bit disheartening. Despite all this, I was excited because after a year of chasing Nikon for an answer, I'd finally got confirmation that the Nikon P1000 had been discontinued. Again, sad, but sometimes it's nice to have that closure. So now knowing these two things, I was set to make this video, but YouTube AI came in and I was like, this is too funny. I need to make something on this. And that delayed me putting that video out. And in the end, I saved face because knowing what I know now, I would have looked like a right asshole if I sat there and told you, hey, there's no new cameras coming, and like 3 days later, Nikon was like, hold my beer. Nikon surprise dropped the Nikon P1100. And like many of you, I was excited. I was ecstatic. Tell me more. Tell me about this brand new camera. Okay. Cool. That's it. That's it. It's the same camera. Guys, on paper, it's the exact same camera. In fact, these cameras are so similar that at first glance, you cannot tell them apart. And I know this because I asked you guys. I asked you to tell me which was the Nikon P1100, which was the Nikon P1000, and over half of you couldn't tell the difference. But let's be fair, a lot of cameras look the same on the outside. It's the inside that matters. What is new? What is new with the Nikon P1100? What's going on under the hood? Okay, let's see. The USB-C, okay, that's new. It's legally mandatory in the EU if you want to sell new technology there, so I guess they kind of had to do that. Now, I'm not 100% sure, and I expect someone to correct me in the comments section if I am wrong, but I feel like these three things could have all been pushed out as firmware or software updates. Okay, we've upgraded the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi. That makes sense because they're, again, being 7 years old. You want them to meet security standards. Stop 5 is now stop 4. Okay, we're going backwards now. Okay, apparently that is just showing how old the tech is because the standard changed, not the actual technology. And the flash has been slightly downgraded. I don't know what's going on with that. Someone will need to explain that to me. Now, I've spoken in the past how my expectations for the next generation of Ultrazoom camera, whether it be from Nikon or for somebody else, were low. If you expected a new sensor, realistically, it was never on the table. The technology just isn't there. However, it's been 7 years. Camera tech has moved on. Something should have changed in this camera. Now, it's not like Nikon is a slouch in this area. They have started to integrate AI into some of their higher end cameras, something I would have expected to have trickled down into these new bridge cameras. Obviously, there would have been an extra cost involved. You would have needed to upgrade what's happening under the hood for these Nikon Coolpix cameras, but I think people would have been perfectly fine with this. There's no reason to expect a new camera to have the exact same technology that it had 7 years ago. And it's not just the camera that's a bit lukewarm. Nikon's entire approach to this camera release has been a bit average. They've spent the last 3 years adamantly telling us, as recently as November, that they are completely out of the bridge camera market. They've been reporting this to their shareholders. So where has this come from? They've turned around and released a brand new camera with little to no suggestion they were going to do so. If you go back to 2017, when they announced the Nikon P1000, remembering the Nikon P900 had already been around for a few years at this point, they really put the effort in. Nikon released several well-curated videos showing off the P1000 zoom capabilities across multiple focal lengths. All well-thought-out videos really showcasing the magic of these cameras. Come back to today and all we've got is a 15-second video of an owl with no mention of how far away said owl is from the camera. It gives you nothing. It gives you absolutely no context for what this camera can do. It's disappointing. It gets worse, because you would expect, at the least, Nikon to supply us with some sample images of what the Nikon P1100 is capable of. And they did. At least some of them. If you head on over to Nikon's official website, you'll find these. What initially appears to be sets of brand new photos taken with the P1100, except for, wait a second, what's this say? This image was taken with the Nikon P1000. The Coolpix P1100 can produce equivalent results. Really, Nikon? That's the best you can do? No, Nikon, I don't think you'll see this video. But just in case you do, I would just like to point out that that is the moon. The moon is pretty much the first photo that everybody who gets one of these cameras is going to take. It's there like 12 hours out of the day, and you have many offices all over the world, so it's pretty much always available to you. Was it so hard to pivot your camera out the window and take a new photo? Where is the effort? Okay, rant over, thank you for sticking that out. I'm sorry, video therapy, something to that effect. Let's move on. So, as I've already mentioned, if you own one of these two cameras, this probably isn't a camera for you. But it is for anybody else looking to get into the Ultrazoom camera market. Now is the time. Because the Nikon P1100, for what it is, it's actually pretty cheap. It's only going to be $100 or $200 more expensive than the Nikon P1000, which, given, again, the 7-year gap, inflation, costs of bits and bobs, is pretty good. The major bonus here is that it is a new camera, which means Nikon should technically support this with new firmware and software updates for the foreseeable future. While I have waxed on about the P1100 being very similar to the P1000, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The P1000 is still top dog in its market. There is no other ultra-zoom camera, even 7 years on, that comes even close. And I think Nikon has realized this. It's realized it's not being challenged, so it might as well jump back in the market, even if it is a little half-hearted. And early signs are looking very good for Nikon. In just the last few days, they've had to tell their Japanese customers, hold up, you might be waiting a little bit for your new camera because demand has been a little higher than they expected. Now, I have suspicions as to why Nikon has suddenly jumped back into the market, but I want to wait a little while. I want to wait a couple of months until both the cameras are in people's hands and we have an understanding of if this camera is in fact very, very similar to the P1000, and just to see if anyone else suddenly announces anything else. Mostly, I don't want to speculate too much, and that's where I'm going to end this video. The P1100 is coming. And it's a little underwhelming if, like me, you have a P1000 or a P950, but it does mean a whole new generation of ultra-zoom camera users. It's a good thing to have some stimulation in this market because maybe other people will pop their heads up and take notice. So what do you think about the P1100? Is it disappointing, or is it a step, if not sideways, in the right direction? Let me know in the comments, leave a like, subscribe, have a fantastic weekend or week whenever you're watching this. Ka kite anō. Cheers.